Have you ever wondered how a small, rainy island in the North Atlantic could possibly build the largest empire in human history? I mean, it just doesn't seem possible, right? But the answer isn't just about guns and ships. It's about a revolutionary new kind of power machine, and we're about to see exactly how it was built.
Just take a look at this. The sheer scale is mind-boggling. A full quarter of the world's land and nearly a third of all people on Earth. An empire on which the sun, quite literally, never set. This isn't just a math, it's a historical puzzle that absolutely demands an explanation. So yeah, that's the big question we're tackling here. How did they pull it off? How did Great Britain, a country with way fewer people and resources than its rivals like France or Spain, manage to project its power across the entire planet and keep it there for centuries? Well, the answer, it turns out, lies in two incredibly powerful inventions. When you put them together, they created a force that was pretty much unstoppable. Now, one of them you might expect, but the other? The other was a secret weapon that would change the world forever. You see, this was about so much more than just military might. It was about creating a system, an engine that could pay for that might and sustain it forever. It was a machine built from wood and steel, absolutely, but it was also built from paper and debt. All right, let's break it down. First up, the part of the machine that everyone could see. Britain made a very deliberate, very strategic choice to achieve total mastery of the seas by building the most powerful navy the world had ever seen. And we've got to be clear here. This wasn't just about blowing other ships out of the water. This was about a concept called sea power. The logic is simple, but it's brilliant. If you control the sea routes, you control global trade. And if you control global trade, you control the money. It's an economic strategy cleverly disguised as a military one. And, they really put their money where their mouth was. Just look at these numbers. In about 150 years, the Royal Navy grew by almost 10 times. This wasn't some gradual increase. This was a flat-out, state-funded explosion. It was a signal to the entire world that Britain was betting its future on the oceans. But here's the thing. It wasn't just a numbers game. It was about having better ships, run by a truly professional force. While other countries were using a mix of mercenaries and shaky funding, Britain built a permanent, reliable, state-run machine. We're talking regular pay, promotions based on skill, not birth, and a huge support network of shipyards and supply depots to keep it all going. Okay, but an incredible navy like that, it costs an absolute fortune. So, how on earth do they pay for it all? This brings us to the second, and you could argue the more important part of the machine, Britain's secret financial engine. Because think about it, Britain's rivals, like France and Spain, they had massive navies too. But constant warfare is incredibly expensive, and it kept bankrupting their kings. Somehow, Britain found a way around this. They cracked the code on how to fight wars all over the globe all the time without going broke. So here's how this incredible machine worked. Step 1. Instead of the king just taking money, Parliament, which was full of rich merchants, voted to approve war spending. Step 2. The brand new Bank of England would lend that money to the government. Step 3. This new national debt was sold to the public as investment bonds. Step 4. The Royal Navy goes out and protects the global trade that makes those merchants even richer. And Step 5. The taxes on all that trade profit are used to pay the interest back to the people who bought the bonds. And there you have it. A brilliant, perfect circle, a self-sustaining loop of money and power. And you really can't overstate how much of a game changer this was. I mean, government finance went from being the king's personal piggy bank, filled up with random, hated taxes, to a modern system of public accounts, approved budgets, and a national debt that its own citizens were invested in. People were literally buying a piece of the country's success. And the scale was just staggering. Britain's national debt skyrocketed from £17 million to over £700 million by the 1800s. But here's the crazy part. Instead of being a weakness, this massive debt was actually a sign of incredible financial strength. It showed the world that Britain always paid its bills. So what happens when you take that ultimate weapon, the Royal Navy, and you hook it up to this unstoppable financial engine? Well, you don't just add them together, you multiply their power. You create a self-reinforcing cycle, a flywheel for empire. It's like the historian Paul Kennedy said, you just can't separate the two. The Navy's power and the country's economic power weren't just connected. They were two sides of the exact same imperial coin. Each one made the other stronger. And get this, people back then, they totally understood this connection. This amazing painting from the time shows it all. You've got this massive warship overflowing with treasure from around the world, and it's literally being held up by a figure that represents the financial power of London. It's the whole system in one perfect image. So this is that flywheel effect in action. It's a perfect loop. More naval power meant better protection for trade. More protected trade meant more tax money coming in. And all that tax money was plowed right back into, you guessed it, an even bigger and more powerful navy. The wheel just spun faster and faster, pushing British power to every corner of the map. So let's zoom out. What's the real, lasting legacy of this incredible fiscal military machine? Because its impact goes way, way beyond just building the British Empire. And here's the real kicker. This system, this combination of state-backed finance, public debt, and a permanent professional military, it basically created the instruction manual for what a powerful modern country looks like. Britain didn't just invent an empire. In a way, it invented the modern state. Seriously, we live in a world that was built on these ideas. The whole concept of a central bank, like the US Federal Reserve, managing a country's money, that started with the Bank of England. Using public debt to fund huge projects, from wars to new highways, that's from this playbook. Even the beginnings of the military-industrial complex and the huge pile of cash that kickstarted the Industrial Revolution, you can trace it all right back to this system. So, in the end, this powerful mix of a dominant navy and revolutionary finance didn't just let a small island conquer the world. It forged the financial and political DNA of the world we're all living in right now. Which leaves us with one last big question to chew on. This machine created unimaginable power and wealth, but what is the ultimate price for forging that kind of power?